Picture this. A woman enters the room and every head turns. She's elegant, soft-spoken, kind to everyone. She's what society calls a good woman, the type your mother would approve of, the type who checks all the boxes. But here's what nobody's telling you. Nietzsche saw through this illusion over a century ago, and what he discovered will completely shatter your understanding of virtue, goodness, and what we've been conditioned to worship in women. Because that good woman, the one everyone praises, she might be the most dangerous trap you'll ever encounter. And I'm not talking about her intentions. I'm talking about what she represents, what she's been programmed to be, and more importantly, what she'll program you to become. Stay with me because what you're about to discover will change not just how you see women, but how you see yourself, and the invisible chains that society has wrapped around your perception of what's valuable in a partner. This isn't about bashing women. This is about freeing your mind from a lie so sophisticated that even the women themselves don't realize they're living it. Think about every good woman you've ever known or heard about. What makes her good? She's agreeable. She doesn't cause trouble. She supports the status quo. She makes everyone around her comfortable. She sacrifices her desires for the collective good. Sound familiar? Now here's where Nietzsche comes in with a sledgehammer to your worldview. He called this slave morality, the morality of the weak disguised as virtue. The good woman isn't good because she's transcended human nature. She's good because she's been domesticated, tamed, conditioned to suppress every wild impulse, every selfish desire, every authentic expression that might disrupt the social order. And society celebrates this suppression as the highest form of feminine virtue. But why? Because a good woman is a controllable woman. And more dangerously, she becomes an instrument of your control. Think about it. What does every good woman want from a man? Stability, commitment, predictability. She wants you to be domesticated too. Not because she's malicious, but because that's what good means in her programmed vocabulary. Good equals safe. Good equals controlled. Good equals a man who sacrifices his wildness, his ambition, his dangerous dreams for the comfort of domesticity. Nietzsche talked about the last man, the most contemptible human being who can no longer despise himself. The man who has made everything small, who seeks comfort above all else, who has invented happiness and blinks at it. The good woman is breeding the last man. She's not doing it consciously. She's been programmed by generations of social conditioning that equates feminine virtue with the ability to civilize masculine energy. To take the warrior and turn him into a worker. To take the creator and turn him into a provider. To take the philosopher and turn him into a mortgage payer. And she does this through the most sophisticated form of control ever invented, unconditional love with highly conditional requirements. She loves you for who you are, as long as who you are fits perfectly into the societal template of a good man. Responsible, dependable, sacrificial. But here's the trap within the trap. You start to believe that her approval equals your value. That being chosen by a good woman makes you a good man. You begin measuring your worth by her standards, which are actually society's standards, which are designed to keep you productive, compliant, and too busy with responsibilities to ever question the system you're serving. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer, who influenced Nietzsche deeply, wrote that women are suited to be the nurses and teachers of our early childhood precisely because they themselves are childish, silly, and short-sighted. Now, before you react, understand what he was really saying. He was pointing out that women, especially good women, are often the primary enforcers of social conditioning. They teach you from childhood what good means, what acceptable means, what lovable means. And all of those definitions serve the same purpose, turning wild boys into domesticated men. But here's what's truly fascinating. The good woman isn't just domesticating you. She's been domesticated herself. She's a victim of the same slave morality that she's now perpetuating. She learned from her mother, who learned from her mother, that goodness means self-suppression, that virtue means serving others at the expense of self, that femininity means being the emotional support system for everyone except yourself. Jung discovered something profound about this. He called it the persona, the social mask we wear that's completely disconnected from our true self. The good woman has perfected her persona to such a degree that she's forgotten there's anything beneath it. Her authentic desires, her selfish impulses, her wild nature, all of it has been buried so deep under layers of social conditioning that she genuinely believes her persona is her identity. When you enter a relationship with this good woman, you're not relating to a human being. You're relating to a social construct, a walking, talking list of society's expectations, wearing the face of feminine virtue. And the most dangerous part? She expects you to develop an equally sophisticated persona, to bury your authentic self under layers of responsibility, provision, and sacrifice, to become the good man who matches her goodness. And together, you'll create the perfect image of a successful relationship, completely devoid of authentic human connection. Now I know what some of you are thinking right now. What city are you watching this from? Because I'm curious how different cultures are processing this truth. Drop your city in the comments, because this pattern exists everywhere, but it manifests differently depending on where you are in the world. The good woman phenomenon isn't limited to one culture. It's a universal expression of how societies control human nature by programming half the population to control the other half. But let me be crystal clear about something. This isn't about good women being bad people. This is about understanding that goodness itself, as society defines it, is a mechanism of control. Nietzsche wrote that morality is the herd instinct in the individual. When we call someone good, we're really saying they conform well. They fit the mold. They don't disrupt the social machinery. They keep the system running smoothly. And in a relationship context, the good woman keeps you running smoothly within the system. She doesn't challenge your slavery. She decorates it. She makes your cage comfortable. She gives you just enough emotional satisfaction that you stop questioning why you're working 60 hours a week at a job you hate to pay for a lifestyle you didn't choose to impress people who don't actually care. Carl Jung talked about the shadow, the repressed parts of ourselves that we deny because society deems them unacceptable. The good woman has the largest shadow you'll ever encounter because she's repressed the most. All her selfishness, all her rage, all her wild desires, all her authentic power, everything has been shoved into the darkness and labeled as bad. And here's what happens in relationships. That shadow doesn't disappear. It leaks out in subtle forms of control, passive aggression, emotional manipulation, the weaponization of virtue. She doesn't yell or demand. She's too good for that. Instead, she expresses disappointment. She shows how your choices hurt her feelings. She demonstrates through her suffering how your authentic desires are selfish compared to her selfless goodness. And you, not wanting to be the bad guy who hurts this good woman, you sacrifice another piece of yourself. You give up another dream. You suppress another authentic desire. And you call it love. But Nietzsche would call it what it really is: the triumph of slave morality, the victory of the herd over the individual, the domestication of human vitality in the name of social harmony. Here's something that will genuinely disturb you once you see it. The entire romantic narrative you've been fed is designed to make you worship your own domestication. Every romantic comedy, every love song, every relationship advice article, they all tell the same story. The wild man meets the good woman, she civilizes him. He becomes better, which means more controlled, and they live happily ever after in suburban conformity. This narrative is so deeply embedded in our collective consciousness that we can't imagine any alternative. We literally cannot conceive of a successful relationship that doesn't involve mutual domestication, that doesn't require both people to suppress their dangerous edges, their selfish desires, their wild authenticity. And the good woman is the high priestess of this narrative. She's been trained since childhood to perform this civilizing role, to take masculine energy and channel it into socially acceptable forms, to take creativity and turn it into productivity, to take passion and turn it into stability, to take freedom and turn it into responsibility. But here's the question Nietzsche would ask. What if everything we call progress in a relationship is actually regression? What if becoming a better man in the eyes of a good woman actually means becoming a smaller man, a more controllable man, a more useful man to a system that doesn't care about your authentic flourishing, but desperately needs your productive compliance? The philosopher Soren Kierkegaard talked about the crowd being untruth. He meant that when we adopt the values of the collective, we abandon our authentic self. The good woman represents the crowd. She embodies collective values. When you seek her approval, you're seeking the approval of everyone. When you try to become worthy of her, you're trying to become worthy of a society that measures your worth by your usefulness. And here's the tragic irony. In your quest to be chosen by a good woman, you become the kind of man that your authentic self would despise. You become the last man that Nietzsche warned about. The man who has made everything small, who seeks only comfort, who has abandoned greatness for security, who has traded his potential for approval. But it gets deeper. The good woman doesn't just want you domesticated, she needs you domesticated. Because your wildness, your authentic freedom, your refusal to conform, these things threaten her entire identity. Remember, her goodness is defined by her role in the social structure: wife, mother, caretaker, emotional support system. If you refuse to play your corresponding role, her role becomes meaningless. She loses her identity. So unconsciously, often with the best intentions, she will wage a subtle war against every part of you that doesn't fit the script. Your entrepreneurial risk-taking becomes irresponsibility. Your need for solitude becomes emotional unavailability. Your ambitious dreams become selfish neglect of family. Your authentic desires become character flaws that a good partner would help you overcome. And here's where it gets truly insidious. She does all of this while genuinely believing she's helping you become a better person. She's been so thoroughly programmed with slave morality that she cannot distinguish between authentic growth and social conditioning. She thinks she's elevating you when she's actually diminishing you. She believes she's loving you when she's actually trying to control the parts of you that don't serve her programmed vision of what a good man should be. Nietzsche wrote that the snake which cannot cast its skin has to die. The same applies to those who cannot shed their opinions. The good woman cannot shed the opinion that goodness equals conformity, that love equals domestication, that a successful relationship equals mutual suppression of authentic self in service of social harmony. And because she cannot shed this skin, she will suffocate anything wild in you that refuses to conform. Now, here's what makes this so difficult to see. The good woman is often genuinely kind. She's often caring, supportive, loving in all the ways society has taught you to recognize love. The trap isn't that she's malicious. The trap is that she's the perfect embodiment of a malicious system. She's the smiling face of your domestication, the loving enforcer of your slavery, the virtuous prison guard who genuinely believes she's protecting you by keeping you confined. Jung talked about the process of individuation, becoming your authentic self by integrating all the parts you've repressed. But individuation is terrifying to the good woman because individuated people are unpredictable. They follow their inner truth instead of outer expectations. They cannot be controlled through guilt, shame, or social pressure. They don't need approval because they generate their own sense of worth. An individuated man is incompatible with a good woman because she needs you to need her approval. She needs you to measure your worth by her standards. She needs you to be incomplete without her, so that her role as your completer gives her identity meaning. This is why the most dangerous thing you can do around a good woman is become complete within yourself. The moment you stop needing her validation, stop requiring her approval, stop measuring your worth by whether you meet her standards, her entire framework collapses. She loses her power. Not power over you, but the power that her social role granted her. The power to define goodness, to determine worthiness, to grant or withhold the approval that society taught you to desperately seek. And when she loses this power, she will instinctively try to regain it. Not consciously, not maliciously, but automatically, because her entire identity is built on being the arbiter of masculine worth. She will test you. She will create situations where you must choose between your authentic desires and her approval. And every time you choose authenticity over approval, you're not just asserting your independence. You're threatening the entire social structure that gives her identity meaning. This is where most men fail the ultimate test. Because choosing authenticity over approval feels selfish. It feels wrong. It contradicts everything you've been taught about what makes a good man. And the good woman is an expert at activating this conditioning. She doesn't have to say you're being selfish. Her disappointment says it for her. Her subtle withdrawal of affection says it. Her carefully worded concern about whether you're becoming someone she doesn't recognize says it. And in that moment, you face a choice. Apologize, conform, suppress your authentic desire, and restore harmony. Or stand firm in your authenticity and accept that you might lose her approval, her affection, maybe even her presence in your life. Nietzsche called this the revaluation of all values. The moment when you stop accepting inherited definitions of good and bad and start creating your own values based on what serves your authentic flourishing. And I'll tell you right now, most men never reach this point. They spend their entire lives seeking approval from good women, measuring their worth by feminine standards that are actually social standards, sacrificing their authentic desires on the altar of domestic harmony and calling it love. But it's not love. It's contract compliance. It's successful performance of socially assigned roles. It's the triumph of the herd over the individual. And the good woman, despite her kindness, despite her genuine care, despite all her virtues, is the enforcer of this triumph. She's the beautiful face of your domestication, the loving voice of your conditioning, the virtuous embodiment of everything that keeps you small, safe, and socially acceptable. Now here's where this gets really uncomfortable. Everything I've just described, the good woman probably doesn't consciously know she's doing it. She's not sitting around plotting your domestication. She's not deliberately trying to suppress your authentic self. She genuinely believes she's loving you, supporting you, helping you become a better version of yourself. And that's what makes her so dangerous. Malicious control you can recognize and resist. But loving control, virtuous control, control wrapped in care and concern, and all the language of healthy relationships, that's nearly impossible to resist because resisting it makes you feel like the bad guy. The good woman has been weaponized by society without ever being aware she's a weapon. She's been programmed so thoroughly that her programming feels like her authentic personality. Her desires for you to be stable, responsible, and predictable feel like love instead of control, because she cannot distinguish between the two. She's never been taught that there's a difference, and this is the most sophisticated form of control ever invented. Control that feels like care, domestication that feels like love, suppression that feels like support, slavery that feels like partnership. And it's all administered by someone who genuinely cares about you, which makes it almost impossible to resist without feeling like you're betraying someone who loves you. Jung wrote that people will do anything, no matter how absurd, to avoid facing their own souls. The good woman will do anything to avoid facing the fact that her goodness is a construct, that her virtue is performance, that her love comes with highly conditional requirements, that she's been programmed to control you in the name of caring for you. And you will do anything to avoid facing the fact that your desire for her approval is really a desire for society's approval, that your fear of losing her is really a fear of social rejection, that your willingness to sacrifice your authentic desires is really just well-trained compliance with the herd. This mutual avoidance of truth is what most people call a successful long-term relationship. Two people who have agreed to never challenge each other's comfortable illusions. Two personas performing socially acceptable roles. Two thoroughly domesticated individuals congratulating each other on their maturity, which is really just their complete surrender to social programming. And society celebrates this as relationship goals, as true love, as what everyone should aspire to achieve. But Nietzsche would see it for what it really is. The last man finding his last woman. Two people who have made everything small together. Two individuals who have abandoned their potential for greatness in exchange for comfortable mediocrity. Two authentic selves buried so deep under layers of social conditioning that they've forgotten they ever existed. So what's the alternative? Here's where I need to be very careful because what I'm about to say will be misinterpreted by many. The alternative is not to avoid good women. It's not to seek bad women. It's not to reject relationships altogether. The alternative is to become the kind of man who sees through the illusion of goodness, who understands that virtue, as society defines it, is often vice, who recognizes that the most dangerous traps are the ones that feel like home, who can look at a good woman and see not just her kindness, but the entire social control mechanism she unconsciously represents. And from that place of clarity, you make a choice. Not a conditioned choice based on programming, not a reactive choice based on rebellion, but an authentic choice based on whether this specific woman, stripped of all her social goodness, genuinely aligns with your authentic path. Because here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. Most good women are incompatible with authentic masculine development, not because they're bad people, but because their goodness is defined by their ability to civilize, control, and domesticate masculine energy. A woman who supports your authentic flourishing, who encourages your dangerous dreams, who celebrates your wildness instead of trying to tame it. This woman will be called many things by society, but good won't be one of them. She'll be called difficult, complicated, too independent, not feminine enough, because a woman who isn't domesticated herself cannot participate in your domestication, and society needs her to participate. The entire social structure depends on women performing their role as civilizing agents. Nietzsche wrote about the Superman, his term for the authentic individual who has overcome slave morality and created his own values. But he rarely wrote about what the Superman's partner would look like. I'll tell you, she would be a woman who has also overcome slave morality, who has rejected the programming of what makes a good woman, who has integrated her shadow instead of repressing it, who expresses her authentic desires instead of performing virtue, who chooses relationships based on mutual flourishing instead of mutual domestication. And this woman is rare, not because women are incapable of this transformation, but because the social pressure on women to be good is enormous. The punishment for rejecting feminine virtue is severe. Women who refuse to play their assigned role are isolated, criticized, and labeled as threats to social harmony. So most women choose the path of least resistance. They become good. They perform virtue, they accept their role as civilizing agents, and they find a good man who will perform his corresponding role. And together they create the illusion of a successful relationship, while both slowly suffocating under the weight of their personas. But every once in a while, you meet a woman who has refused the programming, who has done the terrifying work of facing her shadow, who has chosen authenticity over approval. And when two authentic individuals come together, something entirely different becomes possible. Not a relationship based on mutual need, but on mutual choice. Not a partnership based on filling each other's gaps, but on two complete people choosing to share their completeness. Not domestication disguised as love, but genuine freedom expressed through connection. This kind of relationship terrifies society because it doesn't serve the social order. Two authentic individuals don't need validation from the herd. They don't measure their success by how well they conform. They create their own values and live by them, regardless of social approval. And this is dangerous. Not violently dangerous, but psychologically dangerous. Because when others see that it's possible to have relationships without domestication, they start questioning their own choices. They start wondering if the sacrifice they made for social harmony was worth it. They start feeling the pain of their authentic self buried under years of conditioning. And that pain, when multiplied across society, threatens the entire structure of social control. This is why the good woman is celebrated and the authentic woman is criticized. This is why men who seek approval from good women are called mature, while men who reject that paradigm are called immature. This is why relationships based on mutual conformity are held up as ideals, while relationships based on mutual authenticity are viewed with suspicion. The system needs your domestication. The system needs women to domesticate you. The system needs you to believe that goodness equals conformity, that love equals control, that successful relationships require the suppression of authentic self. And the good woman, despite her kindness, despite her care, despite her genuine love, is the primary enforcement mechanism of this system. So here's the question you need to ask yourself. Do you want a good woman, or do you want an authentic woman? Do you want someone who helps you conform, or someone who challenges you to become fully yourself? Do you want a relationship that society approves of, or a relationship that serves your authentic flourishing? These are not the same thing. In fact, they're often opposite things. The relationship that gets social approval is usually the one where both people have successfully suppressed their authentic desires in service of appearing successful. And the relationship that serves authentic flourishing is usually the one that confuses people, that doesn't fit the narrative, that makes others uncomfortable because it operates by different rules. Nietzsche wrote that you must have chaos within you to give birth to a dancing star. The good woman has eliminated all chaos within herself. She's organized, controlled, predictable, stable, and she will help you eliminate your chaos too. She'll help you become organized, controlled, predictable, stable, and you'll never give birth to your dancing star. You'll never create the authentic masterpiece that your life could become. You'll build a comfortable life that looks successful from the outside while feeling empty from the inside. And you'll wonder why you feel so dead despite doing everything right. But if you choose authenticity over approval, if you choose an authentic woman over a good woman, if you choose a relationship that serves flourishing over one that serves conformity, you'll face chaos. Your life won't look as tidy. Your relationship won't fit the template. Society won't understand your choices. The good people in your life will express concern, and you'll question yourself constantly because you've been programmed since childhood to measure your worth by social approval. But here's what Nietzsche knew. That chaos is where creation happens. That discomfort is where growth occurs. That the rejection of slave morality is the first step toward authentic power. And an authentic woman, one who has also rejected the programming, becomes not your civilizing agent but your partner in creation. Not your anchor to conformity, but your companion in exploration. Not your prison guard but your fellow escapee. Together, you don't build a cage and call it home. You build wings and call it freedom. And this terrifies society, because free people are ungovernable. They don't need approval. They don't fear rejection. They create their own values and live by them. They choose relationships that serve their authentic development instead of relationships that serve social harmony. And when enough people make this choice, the entire structure of social control begins to collapse. This is why the truth about good women is something nobody tells you. Because understanding this truth is the first step toward freedom from the most sophisticated control system ever invented. A system administered by people who love you, enforced by people who care about you, maintained by people who genuinely believe they're helping you, and defended by an entire society that measures human worth by conformity to collective values. Breaking free from this system doesn't mean rejecting women. It means rejecting the programming that tells you what kind of woman you should value. It means seeing through the illusion of goodness to understand what goodness really serves. It means choosing authenticity over approval, even when approval feels like love. It means becoming the kind of man who would rather be authentic and alone than domesticated and partnered. And paradoxically, becoming that kind of man is what makes authentic partnership possible. Because authentic women aren't attracted to men seeking approval. They're attracted to men who have overcome the need for approval. They're not looking for someone to perform goodness for them. They're looking for someone authentic enough to meet their authenticity. Two people who have rejected their programming can create something together that programmed people cannot even imagine. But you have to do the work first. You have to face your shadow. You have to recognize your conditioning. You have to see the good woman for what she represents instead of what she appears to be. And you have to choose your authentic path, even when everyone around you says you're making a mistake. This is the ultimate test. Will you choose the approval of good women and good society? Or will you choose your authentic self? Will you perform the role of a good man? Or will you become your actual self? Will you seek relationships that make you look successful? Or relationships that make you genuinely alive? These questions don't have easy answers, but they're the only questions that matter. Everything else is just social programming trying to keep you domesticated, controlled, and useful to a system that doesn't care about your authentic flourishing. Nietzsche said that one must still have chaos in oneself to be able to give birth to a dancing star. The good woman represents the elimination of chaos, the death of your dancing star, the sacrifice of your authentic potential on the altar of social acceptability. And once you see this clearly, you cannot unsee it. Every good woman you meet will reveal herself not as a person, but as a program. Every relationship built on mutual conformity will reveal itself as mutual imprisonment. Every sacrifice you make for approval will reveal itself as betrayal of your authentic self. And you'll face the loneliest moment of your life, the moment when you realize that almost everyone around you, including the people who love you most, are unconscious participants in your domestication. That their care is conditional on your conformity. That their love requires your suppression. That their approval demands your inauthenticity. But beyond that loneliness lies something extraordinary. The possibility of authentic freedom. The chance to build a life based on your actual values instead of inherited programming. The opportunity to find partnership with someone who has also broken free from conditioning. The ability to create something genuinely new instead of just performing variations on the same old social script. This is what Nietzsche meant by the revaluation of all values. This is what Jung meant by individuation. This is what authentic freedom actually looks like. Not comfort, but chaos. Not approval, but authenticity. Not goodness as society defines it, but genuine power over your own life. And it starts with seeing the truth about good women. They're not your enemy. They're just unconscious enforcers of a system that needs you domesticated. Once you see them clearly, you can choose consciously. You can decide whether conformity or authenticity matters more. You can build relationships that serve your actual flourishing instead of your social appearance. You can become the dancing star instead of the last man. But only if you're brave enough to face the truth. Only if you're strong enough to reject approval. Only if you're authentic enough to choose freedom over comfort. Now I want you to think about something profound that just shifted in your mind as you absorbed all of this. That uncomfortable feeling you're experiencing right now, that's not confusion. That's your authentic self recognizing truth after years of conditioning. And what you do with this recognition determines everything about your future. Drop this phrase in the comments right now. I choose authenticity over approval. Write those exact words because saying them publicly is the first step toward actually living them. When you declare your values openly, you create accountability to your authentic self. You draw a line between who you were and who you're becoming. And I want to see how many men are ready to cross that line today. After you comment that phrase, hit the subscribe button because this channel exists for men who are done performing and ready to become. Men who choose consciousness over comfort. Men who understand that the path to authentic power requires rejecting the very things society taught them to worship. And smash that like button, not because you agree with everything I said, but because you recognize that challenging comfortable illusions is more valuable than confirming them. Most channels will tell you what you want to hear. This channel tells you what you need to understand. There's a difference, and that difference matters when you're building an authentic life instead of performing a successful one. Next video drops soon, and what I'm about to reveal will make this conversation look tame. Because if understanding good women shattered one illusion, wait until you see what else you've been programmed to worship without question. The next topic goes even deeper into the mechanisms of control that shape masculine identity. And when you see how thoroughly you've been manipulated in areas you thought were beyond question, you'll understand why authenticity is the only path to actual freedom. The algorithm will show you the next video when it's ready. But here's what matters more than the algorithm. You've started a process today that cannot be reversed. Once you see the truth about social conditioning, you cannot unsee it. Once you recognize how approval has controlled your choices, you cannot unknow it. Once you understand the difference between goodness and authenticity, you cannot forget it. Your life from this point forward will be divided into before and after this understanding. And everything you build from here will either serve your authentic flourishing or your social performance. Choose consciously, choose bravely, choose authentically. Because the dancing star you're capable of becoming is waiting on the other side of every comfortable illusion you're willing to shatter. And I'll be here helping you shatter them one video at a time. This is just the beginning. Your transformation has already started. Now go prove to yourself that you're brave enough to complete it.